Hi, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Beer Talks. We're back at it again. There's a fly in front of my microphone. What the heck? It's like a fruit fly. And now anyway, thanks for tuning in. We haven't done this in a while, in a hot minute. And we're back at it again.
Isn't it only been 2 weeks?
Is it?
Yeah,
2
it's only
weeks.
been 2 weeks.
I mean, 2
We
weeks is
just
a
miss
long
each
time.
other that much. It feels like eternity.
Well, to the folks, they think it's 2 weeks per episode anyway, so
Oh, that's true.
So we're exactly on time.
on time.
Exactly.
We're on schedule.
We're exactly where we are meant to be.
So,
Yeah, actually, for the audience, I don't know because we previously pre-recorded our episodes way in advance.
Dude?
mhm.
Yeah, I know, right? We are actually catching up to our release schedule, eh? We're about 3 weeks behind our release schedule. So
Yeah,
you're listening to this probably in November, and it is like mid-October for us. So yay, we've caught up.
Anyway, yeah, before we get to that, also, that's a big deal too, that we almost have 20 episodes.
Yeah, and for people who's listened to the whole thing, like, hi, thanks.
Thanks a lot for the continues tuning in and listening to our beer talks, aka therapy sessions with alcohol. So today we'll be, well, I don't need to introduce my friends because they already talked. Also, we're way past that at this point, I feel like. But for those who don't know, that's Stanley and Addie. Stanley's the one with the girlier voice.
Hello.
Hello.
And yeah, we're here to talk about things all about, what is it, interviews, Stan?
So I wanted to talk to you guys about, your interview or resume write, or just like generally job searching process. If you've had any like specific successes that you want to share, or in my case, more like pet peeves that I wanted to share and I guess complain about in this therapy session.
Right. Well, before we get to that, we have our beer of the day,
Which
is the good old classic green bottle Moosehead. No, this is a Heineken.
Ceremonious crack.
Yeah, we're having our Heineken for today. When was the last time you guys had Heine?
Hold on, are we opening our beer? Yes, we
I
are.
already
Yes.
opened. I already
Oh,
opened.
okay,
mine,
okay,
yeah.
cool. The last time I had Heineken, it was also pre-pandemic. Actually, the last time I had Heineken was on a camping trip. My friends and I, we bought a mini, like what is that called? Like not a
keg.
jug, but
Keg,
like
keg.
a mini keg, and we brought it to a campsite, and like it was simultaneously a very good and also a very bad idea.
Oh, it was memorable.
Yes.
All right. Well, Addie already had a drink, so cheers, Stan.
Oh yeah, cheers, John.
Cheers! Oh my gosh.
Calling Addie. It's not like anybody can see.
I
How
can.
could you?
I can. That's all that
I
matters.
didn't see that bus come by. I don't think I've ever had Heineken actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I actually quite like Heineken.
Yeah.
It's
me
so
too.
light.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I see why the Asians like it.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wait, why?
because like when I worked at the airline, they really liked Heineken. Like whenever I'm flying to like Beijing or something, they'll always ask for Heineken. I see why they like it. It's like very light, because like if you go to have like Chinese beer, for example, it's super light usually, and it's like it doesn't have a very strong flavor as opposed to something like a Guinness or whatever, right? Like, so I can see why this seems like it fits their palate.
I like to think that Heineken is more in line of like Canadian, where it's like it's not citrusy, but it is lighter. But I can always feel the alcohol in the Heineken. That's my only issue with it. Also, mind you, that's because it's 5% alcohol, and most of them go for like 4 to like 4.5.
I don't know if this exposes me as a party girl, but this would make a great like sake bomb or soju bomb.
Yeah, maybe actually. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because then like the flavors, if you have a beer that's too strong, it would clash with the hard liquor. But because this is like a nice light beer, it would go so well with like a shot of soju or like a shot of sake.
It tastes very clean, right? It's like a
Mhm.
really crisp, clean,
Mhm.
like a fresh linen. out of the
Yeah.
dry, right?
Yeah. I think this is a great morning beer.
Well, yeah, we should probably mention that it's like early morning
Really?
again. How committed we are. We're still drinking in the morning.
For those of you who want to become morning beer people.
That should be that should have been the name of this podcast. Drink
This is
beers
a
in the
10
morning.
a.m. beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drink beers in the morning with John,
Heineken.
Stan, and Addy. Yeah. Anyway, Stanley, yes, you're gonna go over the interviews, and since just to remind people, I remember in your episode you spoken about how you go through resumes and stuff, and that's like
Yeah.
part of your work kind of thing.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I was like fortunately enough to be in a role where I get to go through the hiring process and really got to see what's on the other side, right? And then like it just like brought back so many, I think like war memories, like war flashbacks of like when you first graduate and you're like looking for a job, you like you do your best to type a resume and then you like send it off into the abyss, and then like it just feels like your resume just floating out there in space and you just don't know what happened to it. And then so when you finally get a callback for an interview, you're like, great. And then so my experience was my first interview. I showed up to this place, right? They seemed super legit. They had a whole office. Like it's a small office, right? It's very small, but it seemed like there's a lot of people working in there. And then after going through the interviewing process, they asked me, they're like, so do you have any friends that would want to buy our products? And then I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I just graduated, so I have friends, but none of my friends have money. And then they look at me, they go, oh, all right, and never hear from them again.
Wait, it sounds like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, I think that's
No.
exactly what it is. And then I was like, oh my God. And then I remember for my own job searching process, I got so frustrated that I basically just kind of like dropped everything, and then worked at Starbucks for you because I'm like, I just need a break from all of this. But anyway, I wanted to ask you guys specifically because I know like I think all three of us has had fairly different experiences job searching, the fields we're working, how we got there, and recap episodes like 2 through 6. And then so I wanted to ask you guys throughout your journey of job searching, what are some things that you've came across that you're like, oh, this is actually super helpful, versus when you go through the process and you thought to yourself, oh, this is super frustrating. And so maybe I can ask John first. I see you. Don't try to hide.
Yeah, I totally didn't mind Addy there,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, when it comes to interviews and stuff, and what's funny is that I just got a new job recently. I mean, it's been a month now.
Yay!
Yeah, that's
Congratulations.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, so I was going through plenty of interviews and stuff, and the things that, sorry, you were asking what was the thing that helped me the most, or the things that I liked?
Yeah, like just if there's any like specific things that like stood out to you throughout the interviewing process or job searching process in general that you thought was memorable, because it could be good, it could be bad. I just wanted to get your take.
Right. So to me, I'm not really like, and you guys know too that I'm not really the type to shy away from conversations with people. It doesn't matter if I know them or if I don't, and like especially when like it's a conversation that's a healthy one, right? I'm always good at entertaining those. So when it comes to interviews for me, I'm not really like scared of, like I do get nervous, but it's not like nervous to the point where like I'm sweaty. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, it's just another person is just gonna ask me questions about the things that either I should probably know or I don't, right? Actually, speaking of which, there was an interview that I had when he was asking me about some specific thing. And to be honest, I was trying to bullshit my way out of it. And he was like, at the end of my answer, he's like, you gave the most, what is it, Swiss answer? Is it Swiss, or like, that term where it's
Yeah,
like,
what
Like
I
it's like
mean,
neutral, like you don't have a strong
exactly,
opinion. Yeah.
exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like you gave me the most neutral answer that you could give, and I'm like, well, I don't know much about what you want me to say, so like,
That's pretty normal, isn't it? Like when you haven't done the job yet, so you kind of don't know what they're expecting from you. So you try to give not too strong of an answer,
Yeah.
but still something that can, I guess, satisfy their curiosity.
Right. I mean, it's all hypotheticals, right? Like
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
can't give you the answer that, oh yeah, we have to do so and so A with B steps. Like, okay, but like I don't know anything about how your company works, right?
Right.
But maybe he just wanted me to like take a shot in the dark.
Yeah, maybe.
That was a huge question, and mind you, afterwards he still said like, oh, like he likes me very much, and like I'm definitely moving forward in the interview. But I didn't get that interview. I didn't get that job, and I think it's fine. But yeah, when it comes to talking to interviewers and stuff, I always like to make it like there's like obviously there has to be a professionalism to it, and you have to be in your best behavior. But at the same time, you need to be comfortable in just having a conversation with people, and because they can sense that you're nervous. And I don't know if it's like a good thing that maybe this person really wants it badly, the job, that's why they're so nervous. I don't know. I mean, Stan's the one that's conducted interviews before, so as an interviewer, maybe like it's different. Long story short, the interviews are nice, and I don't think that the point of it isn't to get. I mean, it is to get the job, but that's not the only point of having the interview, right? Like,
For sure.
yeah, it's more of like trying to see like some kind of chemistry and shit like that. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
what about you, Adelaine?
Yeah, I think I have the same sentiment where I feel like when I go into interviews, quite honestly, like they know whether or not I'm actually qualified by looking at my resume. The only other way to find out if I know what to do with my job is after you hire me. So to me, a lot of times interviews are really looking at personality. It's like, is this someone I want to work with? Like, I know what you're qualified to do, but do I want to work with you? So I've had some interviews where it's like I am perfectly qualified for the job. It didn't connect for me. So I've had some weird interviews. Um, I find it interesting when it comes to job hunting though. Like advice that I had gotten when I like say first graduated from law school, completely different from what like I'm seeing on social media, online, like the kind of advice that I'm seeing now. Like
Mhm.
one big example is when we're graduating law school, even if you had done a summer job at a law firm, most law firms know you don't know jack shit. You just walked out of law school. You're not going to know how to draft anything. They don't care basically because they're like, I'm going to have to teach you everything anyways.
Right.
So one of the advice that I got was like, hey, to stand out, put something interesting on your resume. So in your like interest section, for example, I had a friend that I don't know if this is weird, but one of the things that she did was she would go on different Wikipedia pages and fact check, and then she would correct Wikipedia pages. So I think she put on her resume she was like a Wikipedia curator or something like that. And it was something interesting. And then she had told me like, oh, whenever she had interviews, that's always something that they ask about.
Right.
So it kind of like puts her, at least they remember her, right? So I'm like, hey, like I've talked about this before. So on my resume, I was like, comic universe, in something. I forgot what I put, but it's like a comic universe analyst or something. And that did ultimately, help me connect with one of my interviewers that landed me my articling position. Having said that, what I've seen on social media and a lot of like what not to do on your resume, they're like, please don't do that. They're like, I don't care about your interests unless it's job related. Like, I don't need to know these things. And it makes you look quirky, but also kind of, not that attractive. So it's like the opposite.
I remember Stan touching on that, where it's like, you can
Hmm.
only fit so much on your resume.
Hmm.
I mean, given maybe if it's like you've never had experience before, so you need some stuff to put in there. To me that makes sense, but
Hmm.
you don't have to necessarily add that like interest stuff because, like again, referring to what Stan said long ago. Holy crap, that was so long ago. I'm just making me realize now. Like you literally just take a glance, a quick freaking scan on the resume, right? And it's like, oh yeah, and then maybe pile or like yes pile,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you do have like some quirky interests, to be like, oh, I collect rocks at the beach and find the shiniest ones. Like, are they really gonna read that? They're gonna see like I collect, and then they're gonna move on
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the rest
Yeah,
of the
or
thing.
nowadays, like HR has programs that literally they'll type in what keywords they're looking for,
Yeah.
and the program will sift through it. So they're not actually reading your resume; they're just
Exactly.
looking for certain keywords. So I don't know if it matters nowadays anymore, but maybe Stan, you have more experience dealing with this kind of stuff.
No, that's actually a really great point that you both have brought up. So here's kind of like how I understand the interviewing process or like job searching process from both sides, right? So first of all, a job candidate writes their resume, right? And then they put in all of these words, their like, their interest, their like, experience in their education, blah blah blah, all of that, and they submit it to a company's website. And so immediately, what this company's website does is they start scanning for, Addy, like you said, keywords, right? So the HR actually doesn't even look at this, right? And then the machine, after they scan through all these keywords, spits it out to the HR person and be like, hey, this person matches all the keywords you're looking for. Cool. And then the HR person looks at it and then calls you and say, hey, can we just like hop on a phone for a quick interview? And this is when all the candidates get all excited. They're like, oh my God, I got a call back, right? And then so this is when they start assessing, okay, is this person at the level that we're looking for? So if they're looking for a manager, or if they're looking for a senior analyst, or maybe a junior, like entry level role, they find out through this conversation and say, okay, so our budget is, let's just say, like $50,000, and you have 20 years of experience. This is not a good match, right? Even though on the resume it doesn't seem like you have 20 years of experience, right? So then they're like, okay, not a good match. Or if they're like, hey, great, this is a great match. We're looking for a senior analyst. This is exactly the range that you're kind of looking for. Let's move you through to the manager. That's kind of where like, oh, okay, great. Like, you can actually talk to somebody who works, or like it's most likely going to be the person who's going to hire you and be your manager in your new role. Right. And then so a lot of what you put on your resume does matter. And so things like interest, like John said, unless your resume is sorely lacking. And also, I would say like 80% of the people listening to our podcast, I want to say maybe like a 90% of the people listening to our podcast, we should probably only have one page for a resume, because the likelihood of the person getting to a second page of the resume that's still relevant to your work, it's unlikely, very unlikely. So then if all of your second page is like, my interest, I like to collect rocks and shiny things, my favorite food is bread, waste of time, waste of paper, like don't do that.
Waste of space.
Yeah. And then so if it's only a one page real estate, like think about it on a 8.5 by 11, right? Like you have so much real estate and you can't fill the entire page up with just text because white space is important.
Breaks. Yep.
Yes.
Rest for the eyes.
Exactly. And then so after putting all of that in consideration, you're like, oh shoot, I actually don't have a lot of room for words. So choosing the words and choosing what you put on there is important. And so you have to ask yourself, is your quirky and cool hobby really going to make that list versus relevant work experience, or like volunteer experience, or relevant research experience that you've done on your own, right?
That's why my resume just has my name and it's just blank space. It says hire me.
Yeah. And then this is how you got your new job.
Actually, no, that's why I never got a new job, and then I had to redo the entire I had to redo the entire thing, and then I got the new job. But yeah, also actually you mentioned, I mean, I know obviously, I don't know why I never thought of it like that, where people just kind of look up keywords and then the bank of resumes just spits out, the ones that fit the keywords. To me, I still think that like there's some person just sifting through the stuff, which obviously is not as primitive anymore, right?
Yeah.
That being said, is there like a way to just kind of not hack it per se, but just like put in all the keywords that just hits all the bells,
So
there kind of is, right?
So there kind of is. There's a good way of doing it, and then there's the TikTok way of doing it, right? So I'm gonna recommend the good way of doing it. So the TikTok way of doing it, and I've seen this on TikTok, and this is like my whole trope and why I wanted to do this whole episode today. There's so many quote unquote, I am air quoting really hard here. Quote unquote HR professionals that give out resume and interview advice on TikTok. And while I don't doubt that they are professionals in the industry, honestly, 30 seconds is just not enough to base your entire job searching strategy off of. Like, just don't do that, okay? So about keywords on a resume. So the TikTok way is, find all the relevant TikTok, find all the relevant keywords for the jobs you're looking for, right? So for example, if I'm looking to be a data scientist, then keywords that I should probably look out for is like machine learning, AI, or like, data analyst, like SQL, Python, like all of these keywords, right? And the TikTok way is put that at the very bottom of your resume in like font 8 letter in white text so nobody can see it, but the machine will pick it up, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. Never do that.
Yes, I've seen that. It kills me because I'm like, that is so annoying and that's not okay. We're not making a TikTok video to go viral right now. Like, do not do that. I've seen it once and like I've only done so many interviews, but it just grinds my gear. My problem is I'm like, if it grabs my attention and I'm like squinting to try to figure out what that like size 7 font says, and then I find out it's just a bunch of keywords, like I'm like fucking pissed. I'm like, are you kidding me? Or like they put it in the footer and I'm just like, god damn it.
I think it's that, and also I think it's like systematically introduces like a big problem in like our job pool, like our collective job searching experience. It's that like you're no longer looking for the best candidate, but you're finding the people that are beating the system that are not actually fitted for the job, right? And that are pushing out people that are actually fitted for the job, but maybe they don't have this, like, I don't know, level of technical know-how or like just whatever, because like there's so many people in the pool.
I know, yeah.
That I think dilutes the quality of the candidates. And like, yes, it gives you the best opportunity maybe, but like Addie said, like if I was an HR recruiter and all of a sudden I like see this at the bottom, like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like HR recruiters are also pretty smart. They look for this stuff. And if I was one and I'm like, oh, if this is the trick that you use to, get past my system, I'm not even going to look at your resume because I don't actually know if you're qualified. Because I feel like your entire resume is just full of tricks. I don't know. That's just my personal thing. And I'll get to this later, which is like, I think 80% of the time when you're looking for a job, it's about luck and who you end up coming across looking at your resume, because the same resume can get hired by a million companies, but just not by the one you like because the person hiring does not like you.
Yeah.
And the whole like the whole TikTok trickery thing, it I don't know about other HR professionals or HR people that do hiring, but for me it rubs me the wrong way because I'm like, if you're gonna in a way try to like cheat your way through the system, like I don't know what you're gonna do on the job. Like, are you gonna try to like skirt the job and find the easy way out? Like, to some extent it's like, yes, I know if you want a job done fast, find the laziest person because they'll do it the quickest and the most efficient. I get that. But at the same time it's like, I still want you to do it right. And if that's the kind of tactic you're going to use to even get your resume through the door, like I don't know if I can trust you to complete a job well.
Yeah, I think it's the level of trust that's not there in the beginning. But anyway, if you're an HR professional and you're listening to this episode for whatever reason, please tell us how you feel about this topic. But anyway,
Enlighten us. Yeah.
yes, but anyways, this is what I think the proper way of putting keywords into your resume for the specific job that you want. And a lot of people do this where they think that one kind of general template of a resume can just get sent to like a million companies.
Yes.
And while I think that does have its merits if you're looking for a specific job in a specific company. So let's just say you're applying for your dream job at your dream company. I think the best chance that you have for getting all of those keywords incorporated into your resume is just take a look at the job description. Right? The job description will tell you what they're looking for. And then so my strategy is looking at each line in that job description and tying it back directly into my own experience to say, okay, if they're looking for someone with coding experience, have I done coding before? Is there a project I can show off? Is there a project I can, in my head, immediately think of, this is what I did, this is how I contributed, and this is the value that the company or my clients gain from my work, right? And if it's quantifiable and it's like metrics, like by 80% or increased by 7 hours or like et cetera, all the better. Right? I love seeing resumes like that because then you're seeing directly what they're looking for and how your experience tie into that. And for each bullet, I would write out my experience points and then have eventually a giant list, right? Because usually job descriptions are pretty long. Then you pick out and prioritize what you think the most important is going to be, the most important 5 or 6, stick that on your resume. Right? So this takes a lot of time. A lot of people think that, like resume, I write it once and it's done. No. For a good resume, you want to be able to tailor it to like these specific things.
Dang. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my first. I mean, that was my first experience for like just handing out resumes. Was exactly what you said, where it's like you just have one major resume that kind of fits the entire category, the entire
Yeah.
field that you're applying for, right?
Yeah.
But you're right to really stand out in a very healthy, professional, in a very good, manner and a good start. You would want to cater and tailor the resume based on. I mean, I've heard that too. Like, look at the job description and the responsibilities and stuff, and make that not like copy paste it to your resume,
Right.
but make it relevant to what you've done and
Right.
stuff
And
like that.
also, we've all had experiences in this when we went through middle school and high school when we paraphrased Wikipedia on our English essays, right?
Hey,
Same, right? You're paraphrasing what they said on their job description and incorporating your own experience into that specific thing.
I-
By the way, like I just also have like another thing I wanted to share and let's throw out there. Please stop using things like I helped or I assisted. That means nothing.
what are you talking about? It's my experience,
No,
Stan.
no, I don't say I helped or I assisted. No, give me proper things. Like, did you lead a project and how did you lead a project? Did you did you just stand in front of everybody and then just like point a finger at people? Like that means nothing, right?
I was part of the team who've executed.
Yeah,
so
but that
and so.
also means nothing. Like,
So then you can say I drafted this
Yes.
and that.
Yes.
Or like I wrote this and that. Like, like
Yes.
be specific to the task that you're actually part of.
So give me action verbs, right? Like, what
I
did you
went
do?
to the washroom that one time across the
So,
team that
Like,
was
for example,
responsible.
if you like coordinated a marketing campaign, or if you drafted a policy, right, or if you
Mhm.
project managed a $6 million project, whatever, right? Like, give me action verbs instead of, because I see a lot of, especially new grads, and I think these are the people that I think struggle a little bit with resume writing, which is I think they want to say that they did a lot, but because in the job, and this is not how normal people think at all when they're in a job, right? So a lot of people just like show up and like just start doing whatever they're told to do, right? But then they don't actually know what they're doing. They can't categorize it. So then the most generic thing they can do is, oh, I helped out around the store. And I'm like, what did you do? What did you do to help? Right? You can say you sweep the floor. That's an action verb. You man the till. That's an action verb. You restock the stockroom. That's an action verb. But I helped tells me nothing.
You want to be
Yeah,
as
agreed.
specific as you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
hits home.
so to our point about like trying to match the job description and the resume, I actually have a tip. I don't know if any of you have used it or any audience members have used it. So in the past when I still had to look for jobs, there are websites out there where you can copy and paste a job description and then either upload or copy and paste parts of your resume or your entire resume. And what the website will do is they'll scan the job description, they'll scan your resume, and they'll tell you a percentage of how well your resume matches the job description. I think, in my opinion, that is a better way of assessing your resume than to just plug in keywords anywhere. Because
Yeah.
they'll look at the sentences and be like, hey, the sentence is like, we're looking for someone that can create a code. And then if you say coded blah blah blah, they're like, hey, these sentences match. That is a better assessment of whether or not you will have a good chance of getting that interview than just throwing keywords around.
And then the website's gonna be like, "Would you like to see the suggestions we'd like to make?" And you're like, "Yes." And then it's like, "Hey."
$9.99.
That's exactly what I was gonna.
So okay, I guess caveat to my advice is use the website but don't rely on it. So I always use it just to screen my resume to be like, hey, did I put enough in there so that it looks like the job description? And then if it's like 30%, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta work on this resume. But if it's like, oh, it's like a 70% match, then I'm like, hey, this is good, just gotta fix it up and make sure that it sounds like a legitimate and articulate, then I'm good.
I have a question, Stan. So
Yeah.
since you look at like resumes and stuff, you know how, I don't know, like Office and I guess I don't know, like Google Docs.
Oh yeah.
You know how they have like layouts for
Yes.
resumes and stuff. Do you like do you just like notice? Do you notice that like immediately,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh man, this guy didn't even change where
Yeah,
where his
yeah.
name, like all that stuff.
So normally when I see a formatted resume, like the only thing I specifically look for is if your formatting is clean, right? So yeah, I
Mm.
don't care if you use like the stock format
Yeah,
from
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Office or whatever, like that's totally fine, and that's what they're there for, right?
Mm.
But like I see people that use stock like formats or stock templates, and then they start changing the templates, but then it just starts not making sense. And then so you'll literally see like, oh, somebody worked at, for example, somebody worked at Google for 2 years, but I'm like, oh, is it 2 years or is it 2 months? I can't tell. Right at
Mm.
that point, I'm like, okay, I don't have time for this. Like, I could you worked at Google, but you clearly can't do move on.
Wow. Right. There's nothing wrong with using the
No,
templates. Yeah.
nothing wrong with using the templates. Actually, this is something that more people should know. Like, stop including things like pictures and colors on your resume.
Wait, unless you're
Hold
doing an
on.
acting or modeling job.
Right. That's different. Like, if you
Yeah.
have like a portfolio of your work, like attach it to your resume as a separate portfolio. Don't include it and like, here's a picture that I took on my
What if
resume.
what if it was like you know what a vector art is?
Yeah.
So it's a vector art, Addy, is like essentially like you're it well because we do design and stuff, right, in my field, and like it's cool to if you have knowledge in that stuff. And in my resume, most of the times when I would get callbacks, they're like, oh, the first thing they would say is they're like, oh, so you're more aligned in design because I can tell from your resume that like how it's formatted. And to be fair, I did use InDesign, not InDesign, I think it's InDesign. Anyway, yeah, some I didn't use Word for it. Like there's a Adobe thing that we use for it that is what you use to like print out like magazine pages, like it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
to that
yeah.
level, right? So they're like, oh, so you must be more inclined with design and stuff. And I'm like, not really, it's just it's just the stuff that I do. But going back to the vector thing, I actually had like the top half of my face as like a design art kind of thing, just like at the it's not okay, for the record, it doesn't take up that,
Resume?
it doesn't take up the entire like the entire header
Sorry.
of the thing. It's almost like a logo kind of thing, you know what I mean?
I'm just imagining a pair of eyes. Like I'm gonna open a resume and I just have a pair of eyes
John's
staring into
face.
my soul,
No.
John's face, and
Some
he's just like,
like
look at my resume.
it's very tame. Like again, like it's like a logo kind of thing. Like it's very like simple
Yeah,
colors
yeah,
and
yeah.
like there's nothing to it. I mean, there is a lot to making it, but there's nothing to what it looks like. And actually, I've gotten a lot of comments about it too, because they're like, "Oh, I just needed to meet you in person because what you did is really cool," and so and so. Long story short, I did have to remove that part because for one of because the jobs that I'm applying for doesn't necessarily line for design, which goes back to what
I think
I was saying.
yeah. So okay, maybe like I need to like maybe like I should have prefaced this I guess at the beginning, right? Like a lot of this stuff, like a lot of the things that I look for specifically, because I work in tech, because I work in data, like I think I'm looking for more like standardized things. And if you work in design, if you're like applying to a smaller firm, maybe these like colors and designs on the resume would work. Like John said, like it catches people's attention, right? But I think for like mass like bigger companies that like have to go through system, the reason why, and it's not that like I hate fun, right? Like
You're
I
just
just
a fun killer.
Like I want a boring resume. I want a
yeah.
boring person.
No, it's not that. It's just that, like, for usually what happens is that if you put like graphics or like colors, first of all, like the scanning system is not going to pick up colors, right? And then secondly,
Mm.
if you put in like specifically designs or even like objects,
Mhm.
it actually messes up the format because what the system does is actually they just look at all the text and then they start scanning and putting all the text in like the most simple TXT format,
Yes.
right? So then when they see a picture or a object format, then all of a sudden you start generating all this like messy text. I don't actually know what it's called, but like all the question marks with the
Yes.
boxes and stuff like
Yep.
that. Yeah, like
Unrecognized. Yeah.
yeah, as part of your application portfolio. And I think that actually hurts your chances of getting yourself picked up as a candidate. So I always tell, or like my advice, at least for people that are looking to be like going into like big marketing, like design focused fields, is that include a link, like a public link
Yes.
to the portfolio of work that you've done. Like design the hell out of that portfolio, right? Like aesthetics, colors, everything. But on your resume, right? Like you want to give yourself the best chance to get your resume looked at. And that's the job of your resume. Your resume's job is not to get you a job. The resume's job is to get you an interview, and then it's your job to get yourself a job.
Right. Which is
Right.
like the home run point that you want
Yeah.
for people to come out with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were saying with like the layout and stuff, and you're right. It does. I don't know. Is it LinkedIn? And it's one of these platforms where they kind of you upload a resume and then they do a like
Oh.
in-platform version of it, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
since my layout is all fucked up and like creative, right? It's like my sentences are all weird and like things aren't lining up because the algorithm that they have just doesn't recognize that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do understand your point, and especially when you're in design anyway, you're right. That you kind of want to be straight to the point and stuff. But I also think it's not fully like illegal to put like character.
Not illegal at all. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, yeah.
illegal at all.
Mhm, agreed.
Right. So like you could definitely kind of spice it. Like if you want to print it on like scented paper, go ahead. I'm just kidding, but
Oh, actually, I have a question. Is that a thing? Like, I've actually have seen somewhere someone had suggested like consider putting your resume on a different type of paper
on
or
scented
whatever.
paper.
Like I don't know. Does that work? Like other
Listen,
than that
so-
in Legally Blonde, like I've never seen it work.
First of all, nobody hands in paper resumes anymore. I
Anymore,
think.
right?
Yeah,
right.
anymore. I honestly don't think so. If you do, like, power to you. And definitely if you know the company that you're applying for accepts paper resumes, I think putting your resume on like a nicer piece of paper, like a higher quality paper,
Mhm.
you'll feel the difference. You'll be like, oh god, this guy put in extra effort, and you'll
yeah.
get that like level of whoa, right?
Mhm.
But like I would say 99% of the time. There's a lot of percentages in this episode. I'm sorry.
Well, like you said, you're the data guy. So.
Most of the time, in the majority of the time, right? Like
Yeah,
it's just resumes show up in front of your like on top of your screen, and then you open a name and your file's there, right? Like
Yes. So also one more thing, like you said, when it comes to like resumes and stuff, I actually have two different file versions of my resume. One that you can print out on paper, and then one that's just for digital. Because the colors that I have, I mean, again, I make it sound like I have fucking rainbows and butterflies in my resume. I don't. It's just, if you were to print it out on paper, it's not gonna look swell. You know what I mean?
I didn't know cracking up over here.
I know. But
Imagining rainbows and butterflies on a resume. I'm like, why?
yeah, bro, on the corner, especially like page 1, it's like a butterfly.
And there goes
there's-
yes.
yeah. If there's a butterfly,
Oh shit.
but there are like color values. Stop. There are color values at
Oh, man.
that is good on paper versus good in your RGB monitors.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's just because I have some design knowledge about that stuff. I don't know if you guys know about the CMYKs and the RGBs. So
Nope.
yeah.
Absolutely not.
CMYKs, I believe, is for paper, and since most monitors go on RGBs, when you set a document into a printable thing, you'll have an option there that's like, oh, do you want to print this on CMYK? Or yeah. So RGB values is legit just red, green, blue, and it looks fine on the monitor. But if you print out on RGBs, all your colors aren't
cyan
proper.
and whatever, right? Like your blue's not really called blue, and it's like green and like yellow and red.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I okay.
So
Yes,
that's for like when you have to print it out, right? But like you said, not a lot of people print out the stuff anyway.
yeah.
So, but I still do have two different files. Speaking of printing out stuff, Stan, cover letters. What's your take on that?
I don't need it.
Yo, then why do they keep asking for it?
I don't know. Like I have like literally when I apply for jobs, I have one kind of stock cover letter that like gives my sob story of like I think I'm the best person for this job.
That's exactly what it is.
It really is. It's everybody's sob story, and then like
Yeah.
I'm the best person for this job because, and then it's like oh like I lost my kidney and like like I've went through all these as like
Oh my god.
all these hardship in my life or whatever.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just I feel like, so here's kind of my personal take on it. I really don't know what the industry is like, and I have, and to be honest, right, I haven't hired for like 2 years, so maybe my practice is like like outdated. But
Yeah.
sometimes people will submit a cover letter when they are not asked for one, and I never look at it, and I only look at it like during my lunch break when I have like 10 minutes, and I'm like, like I wonder like what they, because like I always feel bad. I'm like, this person put an effort to type this, like I should read it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you play a game and then there's like all this text, people just press A and like
Yeah, they just skip through it. Yeah.
and then like developers put time into this. I want to read it. So anyway, like that's the same mentality, right? But I've read, I don't know, maybe upwards of like 100 cover letters thus far in my life. I can tell you very definitively, like 0 of them have made an impact on my hiring decision.
Yeah.
Like I read it because I'm like, oh, I'm interested, right? But like 0 of them, like no matter how sad their story is or how inspiring their story is, like 0 of them has affected my decision to hire.
So I mean, I don't know. Just for disclaimer, take everything we say here with a grain of salt.
Like a huge grain of salt, like a spoonful of salt. This is my personal opinion. I am not an HR professional.
Yeah. So maybe like maybe there are some jobs who really require like heavily detailed cover letters.
Title of this episode: I am not an HR professional, but.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. But you're right. I think like cover letters are fairly useless, quite honestly.
I agree.
Might not affect your hiring decision on the positive end, but I think if someone fucks up on a cover letter, 100 immediately your resume is going out the door with that cover letter. Like you put, spell the company name wrong. Refer to the wrong position, because I've seen that.
I have a really good story. So I used to work at a bank. I won't disclose which one, but again, like I said, a lot of co-op students and like people they apply to be part of our program, right? And this person must have just applied for a bunch of different banks because the cover letter coming to me was to my name is there, but it was addressed to another bank.
Oh no way.
It was so good.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry. Like I can't like in good conscience I cannot interview, and like they weren't the best candidate anyway, and like like lots of things were like to be left to be said, but I just thought it was so funny. I'm like, ooh, like the first thing on their resume too, it says detail oriented. I'm like, honey,
Oof.
not detail. And also, like, don't include things like detail oriented or you're a team player or you're good at communications on your resume. Those things mean nothing. You should be already good at those things.
To be fair, that's the shit that we learned in high school.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like,
That's the
someone
shit
needs to go out and teach a new course on like
for real. It's like a careers course or some shit.
Yes.
I remember. And how annoying it was. And it's like, oh yeah, just put this and put that. And those are exactly the words that you're saying.
Yeah.
But I guess to some resumes, it just fucking sticks there forever, right?
To put I'm a good team player on your resume is the same thing as putting my favorite color is blue.
Right. Not only is it beat up, it feels irrelevant.
Yeah, because like as a manager, what am I gonna do? Question you on if you're a good team player? Can you please give me a time where you were a good team player for a project you were on? Like,
Yo, true.
Actually, I've been asked that. I've actually been asked that, and I'm just like, in my mind, I was thinking like, what is the point of this question? Like, you're essentially asking me if I can work with other people.
Right. And I think like so. I've heard this question being asked, and I've also used this question in very specific circumstances, which is for specific jobs, you do need people to work with others, but to have I'm a good team player on your resume means nothing, right? Because you cannot back up that fact on paper, right? So then in the interview, I think it's more like natural for you to be like, okay, hey, here's a situation, like here's a conflict I was in, and this is how I resolved it, right? We're not necessarily looking to be like, oh, okay, did you just like give up all of your priorities and help the other person? But instead, we're looking for things like, conflict resolution skills, right? And I think that's much better to frame versus I'm a good team player. What does that mean?
Anyway,
Very true.
you also touched on it earlier when it comes to like job hunting, like a very large part of it comes with luck as well, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, the job that I got, I was just like super lucky about it.
Yeah.
Because it's like everything that I've been doing so far and to that I'm supposed to do hasn't landed me a job. Whereas this one that just came around the corner, or I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. At this point, I'm just like so beat up and just like so fed up about how the entire system and how the whole entire thing functions. But I don't sound. I'm not an anarchist. Like, you know, the system
But
works for some
it's
people,
but
right?
it's very frustrating to go through.
Exactly, right? How frustrated I am. I'm like, you know what, fuck it. Maybe let's just have a different approach to it. Let's just be more like, let's tone down on the professionalism, and then, you know, maybe like let's be more lax and casual about it. Again, grain of salt, just disclaimer, might not work for everybody. But yeah, and then that's how I got the job, right? Like, it's crazy to me that the amount of effort that I put in actually like sitting down and tailoring like my resumes to click for like the certain keywords, and making and signing up for those fucking websites that like I don't even know how much logins I have. I don't know when was the last time you guys applied for a job, but there's like, oh,
Yeah, the monsters, the
Yep.
LinkedIn's, and each company website has their own thing.
exactly, yeah, the company websites that have the third party thing that filters through the resume. Like, I swear to God, it's the same website. It's like www.handinyourresume.com, and then
Yeah.
you make an account there, and
Yeah.
then you hand it in, and then the same fucking another company would be like under that, but it's like handmeyourresume.com too, and then you make a different account for that too, and I'm like, holy burst! Like, how much
Worst
accounts
thing
do I
is-
have?
And the
Right,
worst thing is that each one takes you like 20, 30 minutes, and you
bro.
go in with the promise is that this is gonna be the one that ends it all. But you're like, wait, there's like 10 that ends it all.
Exactly, for real. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, for this job that I got, that like I'm super grateful for, it was just like a stroke of luck. And I hate it and I like it at the same time, because one, how the fuck am I supposed to prepare for that, right? Like,
can't.
if I needed the money now, right? I mean, luckily we're blessed enough to be, you know, financially, like, you know, have some stability, and that we're not struggling so much that I really needed to get a job, so and so. And like, I mean, in the obviously there are jobs everywhere that you can get. Like, if you really need a job, you can get a job. But I'm saying, in the field and in the career that you want to get into, especially for me, who's somebody who didn't go for my field straight out of college, like, I had my own venture and stuff, and like I felt like it was a missed opportunity, because those were the times when you're supposed to do your internships and like, apprenticeships, right? And paid and get the experience there and all that stuff. And I didn't. And I felt like I missed out. But then again, like, the stroke of luck just came around, and it's like, man, this job that I have is like, you know, like, wow, like I got it that way that I got it. And it's frustrating. Anyway, you were gonna touch on that, Stan.
Yeah, for sure. No, I am gonna say, like, I think a lot of people are frustrated with the system. I know I was, and actually every single person that I know looking for a job has gone through this struggle, right? Like, they're like, I'm so tired. Like, you know, it's, you know, for I think for a long time we heard, like, I think growing up, actually growing up, we heard it's all about hard work, and then as we were growing up, it's all about who you know. And then now it's like, okay, like, I don't feel like it's about who you know anymore, and it's not also about hard work. And then
Right, right.
all of a sudden, all these TikTok trends are coming out, or like social media trends are coming out. It's like, oh no, now it's all about the little tricks.
Hmm.
And I really don't think so. I think, John, you actually hit the nail exactly on the head, which is, I think it's your attitude towards job searching, and, like, you know, setting the expectations for yourself. And then also, like, you have to be ready to embrace these opportunities, because I feel like so many people are like very like head stuck in like, this is the field and this is the position that I want to get. Like, this is the title that I want, right? And then so they only open themselves to these opportunities. But I feel like everybody has so many transferable skills, but it's really about your mindset of like wanting to learn about a new industry and things like that, such that when an opportunity comes along, are you open enough to take it? Like, are you open enough to say like, hey, you know, let's see where this goes, and then see if you can make a career out of it? Because I think life just is about those opportunities that comes along, right? Like, so John, I don't know if it's the same thing for you, but like for my current job, it really is like someone reached out to me, and I really wasn't looking for a new job, but I said, hey, sure, let's have a chat. And then one thing turned into another, and then I landed in, you know, the position I'm in now. And
Right.
so yeah, and so like I think it's about like that level of openness to say like, okay, yes. And I think like I'm also speaking from a very privileged position, because I am like, you know, at a point in my career where people are reaching out to me. And I remember when I first started, I'm like, anybody that will give me anything, I'll say yes to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But, you know, I also wanted to say like, I think I looked for a job for, I don't know, 8 months when I first graduated, and I had offers fall through. I had offers that were given to me, but then were rescinded because the company went under. Like, it was like really bad. And then, I really just like got into a really dark place, and then I had to recover. I like took up weeks, like literally I took 1 week break of no job searching, and I just said, okay, enough's enough. And then I worked at Starbucks, and that's
Right.
what I did. Right. And I think it's about like that level of like so flexibility as well. Right? And obviously not everyone's like privileged enough to be in this position, but
Exactly,
I
yeah.
hope that we can, encourage people to be like, okay, hey man, like just take a step back, see what actually is available to you versus what you're looking for. Right. And then kind of just see like, can you see yourself doing that? And, why not? Right. And then just try doing something. Cause I think there's a saying in Chinese, Addy, I don't know if you know, but like, I think the saying goes like translated to something like in every field, there is a top. Like there's like a 状元. I don't know what it's called in
Oh,
English, but like these like very like top scholars, but there's a top scholar in every field, right? And then so don't feel like, oh, like the work that you're doing is not what you want or it's like below you or anything like that. If you do a good job and you're able to kind of learn a lot, I think that will translate into your future and into your career. Anyway.
No. It's good because like I can completely resonate. And again, not everybody is in the privileged position where they could just be like, you know what, let's just kind of keep chasing
Yeah.
like this field I'm in and that field that I want to be in, right? Most of the times if
Yeah.
like, if you have a family to feed, right? It's like, dang, like I really got to get a job, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate and we're very, like I said, we're very privileged in that position. But at the same time, I guess but we could just say that luck is just a part of life in general, not to be too
Absolutely.
philosophical about it, but
Absolutely.
like just in the broad stroke of things, right?
No, actually, I wanted. I feel like we're like wrapping up a little bit, and before we do, I wanted to ask Addie actually specifically. So right now you work for yourself, and obviously, like you no longer have to go through this grind. I wanted to hear your take on kind of the interviewing and job searching process and how that's changed now that you're a business owner.
like in terms of like if I do interviews for people at
Like
my firm.
if you do interviews, yeah, exactly like that, or do you miss going on interviews?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's interesting because I recently had a conversation with a friend of mine and we were talking about like, oh, okay, what do we want to do with our lives, right? Like 5, 10, 20 years down the road. And I think this is very clear for me and even with my partner. We both basically agreed that like, yes, we started this firm, we want to do this, we want to make money, but we were also very like we felt very strongly that we did not want to do this for life. Like owning a firm is not my end goal. Like at the end of the day, like he wants to go into real estate development, for example. Like he wants to become that kind, like go into that field. And then for me, it's like I don't want to practice law for another 20 years. Like to me, that's not my end goal. That's not what I want to do. So like we ultimately were like, our firm's lifespan at best is about 20 years. So like I do,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
Dang, don't go
So
work for Addie's firm, by the way, for
Yeah,
everybody out there.
yeah,
your career.
yeah. You're not gonna get
She's
a golden parachute from us.
she's closing in 20 years, so if you're 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, so because I have that in mind, I do have to think about like, well, how do I want to pivot? What do I want to do? And because 20 years is kind of like the max, right? Like for all I know, in the next 2 years, 5 years, I might be actually looking for a job. So I was talking to my friend and I'm like, how do I explain my experience and justify it? Which sounds ridiculous because like you would think like, oh, you started a firm and you're running a successful firm.
Yeah, it does
This
sound
should
ridiculous.
give you're right. It should give you clout. It should give you credibility. But in my industry, it's not necessarily a plus because what I can do in a small firm working for myself and how I operate is very different than if I worked for a mid-sized firm, a Bay Street firm. So, for example, if I was looking for a job today, I have to justify and explain how my experience as a small firm owner makes me qualified to work as a 6-year associate or a 7-year associate or partner at some other firm. So like I had to think about that and I'm like, okay, how do I explain this? And then I would have to like the way I would spin it is I have perseverance that some of your candidates don't have. I have thick skin that some of your candidates will never have. I know how to find clients that some of your associates never understand how to do. Like, I can bring in clients probably better than your articling student that's worked with you like 5 years after that. So it's like, I'd have to think differently, and it's a very different mindset than when I was just looking for a job, like coming out from being a business owner. So there is a bit of an adjustment to me.
I see.
Funny that you mentioned that to work for a bigger firm, your experiences now isn't exactly as relevant as people might think.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I mean, I too own a business with my business partner, and it's like when I told my this new job that I got, like that's always kind of like a sore spot for me because it feels like the question what my answer could be to that question could come off as something that I'm using them just as a stepping stone, right? To keep my business afloat, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously isn't the case unless I want it to be the case. But for this one, it wasn't the case. And what's cool about this agency that I work for now is like they're like, oh, you actually have your own startup and so that make content and stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, wow, that's amazing because then we can use your entrepreneurial skills in our agency. And I'm like, you can? I mean, yes, you can.
Yes, you can. And I think that's what that's what I mean about luck, right? Like some people can see that as like like you own your own business, but why are you looking for a job? Did your business
Exactly.
fail? Are we a
Yeah,
stepping
yeah.
stone? And then they're like all freaked out and then they don't hire you. But like on the other side of the same coin, right? It's cool, like you own your own business. Let's leverage that and let's leverage the skills you've gained. So I think it just
Accumulated,
really is about like the people you meet and the conversations you have, right? So I think what really hurts the job finding process, like I don't want to say interview only, but like the job like finding process is your mentality of like, okay, like this is how I know, because like I definitely fall into this trap, right? Like I'm like, oh yeah, this is exactly how I'm going to present myself. I am going to be this, I'm going to be that. And like even if I feel like I did my part, the other person may not receive it that way, right? So
Exactly.
like it just really is about, like Addie yourself said earlier this episode, it's about the fit of you into their corporate culture as well.
Yeah. And it's interesting because being a business owner, same with John, like starting your own business, some like which I've heard as well is some people see that as, oh, you're just trying to make your title sound nicer because you're like the CEO of your company or the president of your company. Or like for me, it's like it was my shortcut to making partner, starting my own firm with a partner, because then literally like usual partner track is about 7 years. It's like I did it in less than 5 years. So it's like how do I get that title sooner? So some people see it that way. You know how like I mentioned being a business owner, like I almost have to justify my experience because it's not the same as learning from a big corporation or a big firm. I remember telling this to a friend where they're like, oh, this person ran a company before, so like it should be very easy for him to find a job as a manager. And I'm like, not necessarily. And he was like, what do you mean? Like he ran a successful company. And I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I can see recruiters saying like, yeah, you ran your own company, but now you're looking for a job. Like, was it unsuccessful? Or like same thing as we said, right? Like, are you using it as stepping stone? And then also like, you can give yourself whatever title you want. You could call yourself the CEO, you could call yourself the president, but to them it's like, I want to know what you actually did.
What did you do?
Yeah, like what did you do? So just because you ran a company doesn't therefore make you qualified to get a 100K managerial job. And I don't think that translates to some people, because like the friend that I was talking to, he was like, but I ran a company, like why doesn't that should give me a leg up? And I'm like, no, it actually doesn't.
It could, right, if you're able
Right.
to explain it, right?
Leverage
But-
it.
Right, but like I think it's about like again the mentality you're in and being able to categorize what you've actually done instead of I ran a company. Like, okay, what does that mean? That's the same thing as I helped on a project.
Exactly.
I ran a company is equals to I'm a team player, Stan? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it does.
Oh,
Like
no.
if you don't tell me what you did to run this company, like
Mhm.
it means nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And especially for that person that we were talking about, like that friend of ours, like he didn't start the company. He inherited the company. It was like a family business. He inherited and then he just ran the company. So I'm like, all the skills that we talked about, being an entrepreneur, starting a company, like grabbing clients, he didn't have to do that. So then I'm
Yeah.
like, some of the big sellers, as being a business owner, he didn't have it. So then I'm like, why would I look at him versus someone who's been a manager for 5 years, like the same amount of time? Why wouldn't I hire the actual manager? Why would I hire you, who inherited a company and ran it for 5 years?
Right,
Like,
right.
I need to, you need to bridge that gap for me. It's not automatic, and I don't think people understand that sometimes.
Yeah. I think through all of our conversations today, I think a couple of points that I picked up is good. It's important to be genuine, and it's important to be able to kind of explain really well what you've done somewhere and be able to translate it not only during an interview but also on paper, right? And then secondly is, not follow like tips to a T. So if you see a tip
Yes.
from somewhere, right, like really just kind of like take a look at it and like see what they're actually trying to get you to do, and then do the actual thing, right? I think a lot of shortcuts, while they're good and hacks are like awesome and great for like everyday life, I do think that a lot is to be said about your career and how seriously you take it, and the number of shortcuts that you end up taking as part of your career. And I don't know if like that will translate well in terms of longevity. It might work out for you in the short run, but that's just my, again, personal opinion. Please don't come at me or at me. It's fine. It's cool.
Yeah,
At Beer Talks TO.
it's yeah, just like kind of wrapping up what you said. It's like I don't think you should just anything that you see on any social platform that's like, hey,
Take it with a grain of salt.
like 5 easy steps to get,
Yeah.
know,
How
like
to answer these questions? Don't just say it verbatim, please.
exactly, yeah, like with the fucking, with a thumbnail with their face like all shocked and stuff, right? It's like, I got a new job answering these questions this way, you know. I just don't think that it'd be much easier if you experience it yourself and then
Mhm.
see from that what works and see what doesn't, right? I'm sure we could all think back at
Mhm.
the things that might have said in our interviews that, oh, that probably wasn't
Mhm.
the best answer, and then you just
Mhm.
kind of move on from there, and you learn, right, and you adapt, and you process things in a healthy way outside of just like, no, just type keywords in white font so that it hides on the paper, like,
Yes.
Oh
yeah,
my god.
or like answer the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
doing your job, and it's like, wow, okay.
Let's
um
let's
Mhm.
let's not start with those. Like honestly, I can go on for an hour about like what is yours, like that specific question. I can go on for an hour for.
I know,
But
Mhm.
but
yeah,
yeah.
just as a general, it's good to be specific. It's good to know what you're good at. Just like our beer of this week, Heineken. So specifically, they said that they combine premium malt and hops and water with special A yeast. Right,
We're
like
not
that's
sponsored.
I'm
Damn.
just giving
That
them a preview of what this could look
what
like.
it could be. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so like they have special A's. So Heineken, if you're listening and you would like to be, further featured on our podcast,
Further feature.
yes, please reach out to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway,
Uh,
with that,
With that said, yes.
yes,
Like
uh,
I
I've-
I hope everyone found our episode at least insightful or useful, that will like inspire thought, because I think that's one thing we're really trying to do here.
and
I think
if
so.
not, just like have fun listening to us rant because we're
Yeah.
drunk and we're ranting.
Oh my god, yeah,
At early
100%.
morning
Yeah, it's like
drinking.
10 a.m. man. Oh my
Um,
god.
Oh my
again,
god.
disclaimer: everything that we say and do and claim here in this Beer Talks podcast is neither representative of our employees or employers.
Right. Keep in mind, we are not HR professionals,
Right. And if you
but
are an HR professional, would be more than happy to hear from you at Addie Lane.
take us away.
Yes, our social media at Beer Talks TO. So that's BEERTALKSTO. Beer Talks TO. Find us on Instagram and TikTok.
Hey, hit us up. Thank you,
Yeah.
Addie and Stanley, for doing this. Can you believe season 1's almost over?
I know, this is crazy.
We never planned a full season, eh?
Well,
No, not actually.
just as I never planned to get this job.
Everything's a surprise.
Honestly, our decision to make 20 episodes was really funny enough. We saw on TikTok that was like,
Oh no.
most podcasts don't even have 20 episodes. So if you have 20 episodes, you're already one of the top percent podcasts. So I'm like, I guess we're doing 20
Yay.
episodes.
Well, before we get into that, Thank you, Stanley and Addy. Thank you, Heineken,
Thank you,
Thank you,
John.
John.
for maybe sponsoring us in the future. We'll talk at you guys soon. Like and subscribe and follow us. And we'll see you guys later. Cheers.
Cheers.